Salutations, and what is good people? You are now listening to another episode of Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth, and tonight is a night of all nights. This is something that I've had stuck in my head for like the last couple years, and this is my all-time favorite podcast is the Fiyastarter podcast, and they've been holding us down since 2012, and my biggest dream was to get like my just other fans of the show and just have us all in one room and we'll just chop it up about them and give them their flowers, because if nobody else deserves it, it's them three dudes. So, man, where do I start? We got my man Will in the building. We got Leonard Brothers, Bushrod, KC Stork, Mr. Prelo, BP. We got CA Huggins, Mr. Hate Coffee, Ricky GQ in the building. Fellas, good to have y'all on, man. What's good with y'all?
So
Thank you.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Chilling.
Man, glad y'all could be on. So, man, I'm gonna go one by one, and I'm gonna start with you, Will. I just want to just a brief thing of just talk about how you became familiar with the Fiyastarter podcast.
So I got to shout out Bomani Jones, man. I mean, listen to Even Jones and all that all brought me to the Black Guy Who Tips. And then from the Black Guy Who Tips, that's where I fell into these three brothers. And I'm like, they're like Wu-Tang with it, because it was like their pod was like, I never heard nothing like this before. I've heard other friends do podcasts before, but it was like the rawness of it. It felt like 36 Chambers to me. I'm like, this is different. And I've been loyal to the soil since, man.
Dope. Well, since I'll go next. So I first became familiar with Fiyastarter through the OK Player message boards. I know a lot of people on SOHH, but I was always on OKP. And Bob was one of my favorite posters. And I used to always be in the sports section, just seeing the kind of shit he would tweet to everybody, or the shit he would message to other people. And then one day, there was a thread that he started, and the header just said, "Darkness is spreading. The Fiyastarter podcast is here." And I'm like, oh, shit. And then when I tuned in, I was like, oh, this is my kind of time right here. And I was in from the word go. And it's been on ever since. LB.
Yeah, man. Like the brother said a minute ago, it starts with Bomani Jones. I caught on to the Morning Jones, what ended up being like the last few months of the show, probably like around this time, springtime of like 2010 or something like that. So that introduced me to a lot of great people. One of them being Rob from Charlotte, aka Rob from the Black Guy Who Tips. And I became a huge fan of them. Like I always say, Black Guy Who Tips and Fiyastarter are my number one, both of them on my number one favorite joints. And so the Fiyastarter were guests. And that's one of the things that I loved about Ryan and Karen show, is that they put me on to a lot of, other people's stuff. So heard the fellas on there. I was like, yo, these dudes seem like mad cool and all of that. And I decided to check them out. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the first episode that I heard was probably like episode 34. So I've been rocking with them ever since. And a few episodes later, which we'll probably get into a little bit later on, is the infamous Chili Grapes episode. So right off the bat, I came in with some heat, you know what I mean? So that's how I got on with them, man. Been rocking with them ever since, man. And they're my favorite joint, along with Black Guy Who Tips.
Right on. My man OG Bushrod. How'd you become aware of the Fiyastarter podcast?
Man, you know what? Actually, my cousin, I was in Iraq back in 09, maybe 08. Probably before that, 07, I think it might be 07. And he sent me a link from their webpage. It was NBA rankings, and they used to break down all 30 teams and have like these quick little one-liners on each team. And I was like, yo, who are these? This cat is funny, you know? So I checked out the whole webpage and I just kind of started following them from there. And then same here, I got the darkness is spreading. Cause I started going to OK Play, you know, the site also, and I was just checking out the little logs and stuff, man. And then he said darkness is spreading, and I just started listening from there. And I was just catching them every now and then it became just almost like a religion, just to keep you know, downloading them. And back then I had to download and then like listen so I could get the whole thing when everything chopped up. And man, ever since then, following him on Twitter and just been a fan ever since. And I did I was such a huge fan, man. I retired from the military, and I was bored, and and I took all the episodes I had and I just kind of chopped them all up and just found the best pieces from all of them. And I did like this 3 hour mesh of my episodes, because I was like, when they would miss weeks, I was like, yo, I want something to feed off of. I'm sure they have other fans who want to do the same thing. So I just emailed Tone and I was like, oh, I got a mesh episode, man, so y'all can like plug in when y'all not there. And he took it, man, and posted it. And I mean, I was just a diehard fan from there, man. But it's been since, I mean, at least 08, maybe 07, 08. Yeah.
Wow, that's some dedication, right? I didn't know you did put together a
still
best
got those joints.
Yep. Still got them. Still got it.
Yeah,
man,
wow.
good to know. The man in the middle, KC Stork. How'd you become familiar with the Fiyastarter podcast?
Oh man, I think I might be. I don't know. Now think about it. I might be around when Bushrod came on. I'm gonna chop it up with him because we might have been passing each other, because I was coming back from my second deployment, 08, 09, back to Iraq. But I think Rod used to call into This Week in Blackness, and I followed Rod from there. And then he would always hit up like, you gotta listen to High Firestar. These are my guys, and he would always mention tanks. But you know, with Rod, he always give respect to people where he get the slang from. And I ain't gonna lie, the first time I listened, being a Midwest dude, South Kansas City, which is a subsection of the Midwest, if you ever come to South Kansas City, and I was like, all them youngs and all that shit, I was like, okay, nigga, what these niggas talking about? What is this young shit? What the fuck we doing? But that shit kept like echoing in my head. And I think I would check in once in a while, and I think they had an episode where they actually came on to Black Guy Who Tips. And I was like, man, let me go back and try again. And I just been in love ever since. So probably I'll say about 07, 08, been on it. And I mean, like we said in the pregame shit, now the shit's just quality. And then once it's in your veins, it's hard to get out your system, man. It's just niggas talking, and that's what I love. I think that's what we all love. And that's how I fell in love with it. It's just, they said on the show, it's niggas talking, and I love it.
100%.
Yes, sir.
Perfect tagline.
Yep.
Really is. BP the Great. How'd you become a fan?
Well, the first time I ever heard about my bad. The first time I ever heard about him was on the infamous BGOL back in like 05.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was over there too. Yep.
I was lurking for a long time on there. And they used to post some rankings like Bushrod said. And I remember I read one time, looking back on it, it's probably Bob who wrote it. And he said the Panthers, when Steve Smith was there, they were like Gabrielle Union and Ferrari. But when he ain't there, they're like Cheryl Underwood in a garbage truck. Yeah, so I've been hooked. That's the first time I found out about the site. So I was going to that site every week. Then I guess they got hacked or something like 2011. And I said, well, let me just listen to the podcast a little bit. And like my dad's from DC. My dad started off from DC, so he sounded just like the niggas that I used to go up there and talk to. And I'm pretty sure I grew up on the same street my dad grew up on, because he talks about what was it? I think it's like Minnesota Avenue or something like that. He said on the podcast a couple times. So yeah, pretty sure he probably knows some of my people. But like I said, just been listening since 2011. Started sending in tanks and hooked like everybody else, man. So.
Yes, sir. C.A. Huggins, man. How'd you become familiar with the Fiyastarter podcast?
Through OK Player, OK Sports, just being on there, arguing with Bob for days and about the same topic. We just going back and forth. No, I'm gonna get the last word. Doing that. And I think at one point he posted up an article they did in Complex. And I was like, oh, this is a 5-star thing now. And then he posted the darkness is spreading, and I was from day one. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna support the hell out of this shit, you know.
Oh.
And then yeah, it's just niggas talking. It was funny. I didn't get the accents or some of the slang because yeah, to me DC is like might as well be the South to me.
Here you go. Here this nigga go.
But that slang is infectious though. Once it gets
Yeah,
in,
what you hear?
Ain't it?
once that gets in you,
Agreed.
Bro,
Agreed.
when I caught myself saying "ja" at work, I was like, all right, I got a problem.
Exactly.
Mr. Hate Coffee, how'd you become aware of the Fiyastarter podcast?
Yo, man, so go way back, but I was on the SOHH message board. So I just always liked their humor, you know, and then they had the website with the rankings, and that shit was just funny, man. So then they came out with the podcast. I was in from like day one, you know, like I was saying in the pregame, I literally have like most of the first few years on my hard drive. I'm looking at it right now. Episode 2 is in September 2011. So they've been doing this for a minute now.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, and then I also mentioned before, like I was so invested in this stuff because it was so unique and it was so great to me that like I've helped them out with audio, been willing to do whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I still maintain I was the first listener to send an email. Tank. Because you know, it was funny, like that all the stuff, like I'm not from DC as well, but like I think the Wu-Tang comparison was very appropriate because these dudes, they got their own insular like slang and language and culture, and it's so infectious. And you see how it spreads, like the whole them thrones, like that was just a big example of you know just how popular these dudes could be. So yeah, I'm gonna stop there, but I've been rocking with them way back since the early 2000s, you know, ever since the message board and the website.
Oh, Ricky GQ.
Same story, man. SOHH. I'm like in high school reading like I remember like whenever the rankings would drop, I would rush to like the computer lab and I'm just laughing my ass off on lunch. And then like I'm trying to like get my friends involved and like they just don't get it. And I'm just like, these dudes are like really fucking hilarious. And then they come out with the podcast, like the site stops like slowing down. They come out with the podcast. I think I got on board like episode 2 or 3. And then I went back and listened to all the ones I missed. And I haven't missed an episode since. Like, these guys are great.
Dig it. And the Podfather has officially entered the chat. This man is so responsible for so many Fiyastarter fans. The great Rodimus Prime. Thank you so much for climbing the board. And how did you become a fan of the Fiyastarter podcast?
First of all, thanks for having me, dog. I appreciate it. Definitely want to give the fellas their flowers. You know what I'm saying? So it's a dope concept for an episode of a show. As far as like how I became a fan, man, SOH message boards, like on there arguing and talking sports and memeing and making jokes and shit, and you spend enough time on there, you kind of feel like you get to know people, even though it's mostly anonymous. And I just thought they were so funny. I used to go to their website and just like read movie reviews and the black quarterback rankings and shit. And I was like, you know, from day one, like they always reminded me of just how I grew up. Like, this is how my niggas clown. Like, I think that's just something universal. It don't really matter where you're from. The fact that they had different slang, it's like you could pick it up. Cause it was like, oh nah, we just got a different word for that. We wouldn't say nah, but we'll say something else. And so it was just infectious. It was nothing else like it to this day. And it felt like they was like real, like they were keeping it real. And you know, the friendship and the commentary and all that stuff was just dope. We had started our podcast, I want to say like maybe earlier that year or something. And I don't remember if they had reached out to ask about starting a podcast or what, but like from day one, I was like, yep, I'm listening to this shit. Like, y'all, if it's 4 hours, I'll listen to 4 hours of this shit. I don't give a fuck. If y'all time traveling, you know what I'm saying? We're like, one nigga in the future, it don't matter. I'm fucking with it for life.
And that's awesome, man. So we're gonna do a similar format to Firestarter. So we're gonna start with a sports segment first, and just wax poetic about some of our favorite sports related Firestarter segments. So actually, I'll start it off. I remember it was one episode I was listening to, and this was right around the time Kyrie was playing for the Cavaliers, and they turned right around and got Deion Waiters, which was just a thorn in Bob's side. And they were recording an episode, and K-Bad was saying something, and out of nowhere, Bob just goes, "Well, fuck Deion Waiters up, young." And it was just like, it was a pregnant pause, and out of nowhere, he just goes, "He crazy, young." I want this nigga off my team, young. Like, Kyrie don't deserve this, young. Oh God, that shit was so good. And it was that, and then it was another time they were recording, and K-Bad was watching the Georgetown to Connecticut game, and I think they ended up going into overtime. And TKO was asking him some NFL combine questions, and he was asking him about, I think it was about Deion Jordan as a defensive end. And K-Bad was trying to give analysis, and if somebody was screwing up, so K-Bad was like, he's not going to be that twitchy type, like Deion Jordan from now to nowhere. He just goes, "Pass the ball, nigga." Like, young, they be heisting, young. Damn, Devontae Smith Rivera, young. I'm sick of this nigga. Oh God, man.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was.
I forgot how much Bar hated Deion Waiters too, man.
Yeah,
he really, like, matter of fact, in 2023, Deion Waiters better watch his back if Sam ever catch him in the streets, because he might swing. He still might swing on this nigga.
Real shit. So, anybody else gotten any of their favorite sports related Firestarter memories?
K-Bad in Georgetown. I know he was talking about the draft one year when the year Otto Porter came out. I guess Jeff Goodman said something like he wasn't a lottery pick. K-Bad said he's going to send a virus to his computer.
Oh shit!
K-Bad's like, cut it out. Send a virus to your computer. You keep on. I'm serious. I'm like,
I forgot about that one.
And of course, T-Nag, we've been going back and forth on that. Like,
Homo
Honey Meatloaf and
the jump pump.
Yeah.
I always make it a jump pump. Go ahead.
All the kids and all that stuff, man.
Yeah.
MBJ. I always make it a point, like at least every couple of months, I'll go back and watch that whole series, man.
Episode.
D-Nag was funny, man.
Bob zoomed in on his face and both in the patch of you and smiling.
Yes. So good.
They gotta
anytime KB, when they did the NFL segment and KB start talking about C's, doing his C's impression, that shit was always good, man.
C's was low key the MVP of that series, man.
For real. He has to do one-liners.
The episode, but when it was the Cowboys and their skins.
Yeah.
And C's was just pissing KB off, talking about, I can name 20 running backs better than Alfred Morris. He's like, I can name 20 running backs better than Alfred Morris. And KB said, "Man, you out your mind, young." And then he just poured salt in the wound. He was like, I can name 25. And KB just got up and left. He said, "Man, I ain't listening to this garbage."
KB threw them hands up.
Yeah.
Hands up records.
But the best shit was the following episode. They were watching the Redskins game, and I guess RG3 had messed his knee up. And Caesar was like, "Man, that wasn't that bad." And then they showed the replay, and everybody was like, "Oh." And then KB looked at Caesar. He was like, "So it ain't that bad, Caesar?" And the Caesar just goes, "It's y'all bad field."
Yeah.
It's like look at the field, look at the grass. Like he's literally kicking up dirt. I think they mentioned that on last week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like he need to be playing off North Capitol somewhere.
So he could have saved some gas money going over.
Exactly. Yes.
I think one of my favorite things that used to happen, it don't happen anymore, but it used to be when Tone would try to convince K-Bad to have hope in the Redskins turning it around.
Yeah.
Or the Wizards.
Yeah.
The Wizards, sometimes, like when they drafted RG3.
And then, Rod, I think after a while, Kenny kind of started catching on to it, like that this nigga was really trolling him. So he was like, nah.
It don't happen no more. Like, I think the last time I was listening and the Commanders came up, Tone was low-key agreeing with, like, yeah, I feel it now. Like, they broke Tone. And you know, Tone like the most optimistic because Eli Manning had 3 good games. And them were the championship games. So it's just like it made it easy for him to be like, man, 8-18 could win the Super Bowl. And K-Bad like, fuck, they can't.
Because for a while, I don't think Tone really understood the pain that Kenny feels with his teams. Like, because he's been like me and him got on the same team. So we've been lucky enough to see them win. But for somebody like Kenny, I don't think he really could understand how this dude could not have some glimmer of hope for his squads. But Kenny was like, nah, yo, I can't do it, man.
But that's always like half invested
when Tone would try to convince Kenny that making the playoffs was a good thing. K-Bad would get so mad. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
We gonna lose first.
What are we going to do?
He's one of the Wizards. He's one of the Wizards to take.
Every year.
Every year.
They won't do it.
They sure won't.
Them
Exasperated bad John.
Them John Thompson the third rants used to be money though.
Oh my God!
Money.
Yes.
Mine was
go
a
ahead.
couple of years ago. Maybe 2 or 3. It was actually, I think, when Brady won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, and Bob was about to go off on his little, Tom Brady the GOAT thing, and TKO, he asked TKO if is Belichick good without Brady. TKO started putting them butts in there. K-Bad said, Hold on. Tone. You doing the butt. Hold on. So you hit your argument. And Bob came out of nowhere and said, I'm trying to cash in my chips, young. Let me get my shit off.
Hey, Bush Ride, that's a pretty good Bob impression there, dog.
That's pretty good. They young hitting just right. I love the my bad. Go ahead, Rod.
I was gonna say also the infamous Doug Williams impression.
Yes.
The forbidden Doug Williams impression is fine. Frustration, man. That was low key like one of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard in my life, man.
I like Michael Irvin impression.
Mike Dog, yes.
Yo, that skit had to be the funniest of all time. That Mayweather, Michael Irvin, probably classic of all time.
That cold open, dog. That shit was like some Living Color Saturday Night Live sketch funny shit.
Call that man Manny Moore.
Them niggas trying to figure out if K Bass can fucking beat up Jim Brown. That shit had me partying.
Hey, look, Stork, don't bring that up too much over here. We don't want none of us.
Hey, I don't want no issues with Jim Brown. When that nigga still above the earth. Nigga.
I want to know who did that Twitter account that it was Jim Brown. Jim Brown hates K Bass.
I know it's one of these paid niggas on this motherfucking.
It was me.
It was probably hate coffee.
Jim Brown. Nah, it was me. Jim Brown hates K Bass.
That was you.
Okay, excellent. Excellent.
I'm a huge Jim Brown fan. I mean, my pops is a Jim Brown fan. I'm a huge Jim Brown fan only because I'm from Compton and he came to our school one time.
Okay.
And he gave me like some real good advice one day. I
have on that little goofy
Jim Brown fan ever since.
One of them American niggas.
For me, it's not.
Jim Brown told us he had like 19 gangbangers with him and said, these brothers are doing something positive with their lives. I looked at them, I was like, no, they're not. They're not doing nothing.
These niggas are gangbangers. You already said that.
Yeah, killers, Jim. Get away from them.
I just like the overall agenda talk, man, and then the mathematics that goes into figuring out the schools these niggas like, the person on each team they like.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, I guess my guy Patty Mahomes in my nigga Bai's window, you know what I'm saying, with this whole thing. Now he want motherfucking Aaron Rodgers to be great because Aaron Rodgers is great. And I'm like, wait a minute, nigga, we supposed to be against this old pot smoking ass, sitting in the dark room ass nigga, dog. Fuck this. We gotta come together as black men.
I like when Bob would just be like, I'm crazy. Like the agenda made me crazy. Like I remember
I love it.
He was talking. It was like when he was anti-LeBron because it was some kind of way that Kyrie. It wasn't Kyrie's fault, but LeBron fucked up, and that's why it was understandable Kyrie wanted to leave. Blah blah blah. And we was DMing all goddamn day. I was like, explain it to me again, bro. I don't. What did he do wrong, man? Like, do you know some inside information? It was just nothing LeBron could do right at that moment, period, ever. And I don't know if he should have got out the way and made it Kyrie's team. I don't know what the fuck. To this day, I don't know what, but it just made him crazy, bro.
It ain't no Venn diagram, it's just a big ass circle with Bai in the middle.
Like the guys he would hate because they were in front of his guys, like Deion Waiters, of course.
Right.
All the hate he gave to Jaylen Brown because of Jason Tatum.
Bro.
He fucking hated Jaylen Brown.
He would have traded Jaylen Brown and they would be sorry as shit right now without Jaylen.
Yep.
Kemba Walker. That was another one.
Kemba Walker.
Hey.
Do y'all remember the rant that he went on when Cam went to the Super Bowl and he said if Cam wins, what he was gonna do?
Yeah.
Hilarious. He said
that's my main sportsman with them. That man said he's gonna walk in the office with the iPad and Euro step across his coworkers with the iPad. Yo, honestly, I'm visualizing him doing it too. And the lead up to that Super Bowl, yo.
Whoa, the Euro step was awesome. Yeah.
That lead up to that Super Bowl, that was the one for me, man. Because he went on this epic rant about how John Elway aging terribly. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, Bob. I mean, I want Cam to win too, but what Elway face got to do with anything?
And it led to that agenda eventually led to the epic. They trying to get him out the league.
Out the league, yo. Out the league, yo. Get him out
the league.
Hey, Bob got the best nicknames though. He called Eric Bledsoe Panthro, and I was dying. Such a wild.
What was his nickname for Jameer Nelson?
Goomba.
That's what a Goomba. Yo,
that was Kemba.
When he called him.
I think he used it for all
his words. It's a Goomba.
That shit good, dog.
On OK Player once he said Jamal Mashburn has contra spray teeth. And that just
Yo,
was Julius Randle cop face?
It was cop face and it was boot nose. I think Andrew Wiggins was boot nose.
Boot nose.
No,
what was that dude who played for Notre Dame?
Jamal Murray, boot nose.
Remember, Bai used to do the point guard rankings too, and then he had the Fat Lever
disciple.
Fat Lever, yes, nigga.
That and like somebody said, that nigga cook up the most craziest agendas, man. Like out of nowhere.
The Tom Brady one, he actually pulled me around on the Tom Brady one. Like it started so long ago when like no niggas like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And this nigga fought the good fight all the way to me being like, okay, that's cool.
He did.
I missed them Asiatic QB rankings though. I do miss that shit though. That little horn.
The little horn.
He did have that horn.
I got another one. Them niggas, whenever they talk about MJ, they call him nigga Cheese Eyes.
Oh man,
it's always funny as hell.
I call that nigga Cheese Eyes at work.
Cheese Eyes, and then doing their version of the MJ / Kingfish voice.
Oh my God,
that was always funny too.
So much slavery.
Hey,
so much slavery.
So much slavery.
I use that try hard
all
nigga
that MJ
shit.
slander. That was to propel Zeke. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like whoever is in the way of Bob's agenda, they getting gunned down, bro.
Yeah,
like
that's the way.
He letting the chopper spray on anybody.
Yeah.
Spray.
That'd be the funniest when Bob come out with that. This old try hard ass nigga.
Yeah, I like to try hard.
Look sweet.
And we gotta also mention the new shit that he's always on when you talk about he ain't nobody.
He ain't nobody.
Yeah, quick to call somebody nobody, man.
I've been saying that shit. Niggas a word. You ain't nobody.
Well, you don't do nothing.
You doing nothing.
Do nothing. That shit. My favorite shit is the all kinds right now.
Yeah.
All kinds of such and such. I'm like, what?
That's such old niggatry though. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Gotta mention too. Of course, I appreciate it in 2017 when Tone was able to celebrate that Carolina championship. You know what I'm saying? That was a good moment.
As a Carolina fan, it's so interesting the dynamic because Ba is like super crazy about Duke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Tone is super crazy, but he's so reserved with his crazy. He be like, I'm not like he's very much like me. I check out of Carolina basketball until we get to like the tournament. Cause I be like, these niggas not gonna get my blood pressure up. It's not finna happen, bro. And then when we win, I want Tone to like go to fuck off, but he'd only be reserved with it, like, you know, like, oh, cool, we'll see who come back next year. I'm like, no, nigga, dunk on them.
Y'all remember when Brandon Ingram committed to Duke and he started
like that B.I.B. Yes. He was like, yeah, young, we got B.I.
He sure shit did. And I love he's so superstitious. Like every time, like right before Duke tips off, I remember he said he always drink a glass of water.
Yeah.
And like
he's
like
fucked up. It's because his water was off. Like didn't he have enough ice or whatever?
That nigga talking about how he be texting with Mark and go ahead.
Didn't he play a song the year Duke won a championship? He started off with a song.
I don't know.
I know that whole rant.
I know one year
he started with an epic rant though. That rant.
That's when Carolina lost to the buzzer.
Level.
Yeah.
I think it was one year when Duke won the title. I think it was the last title Duke won, and he did a Farrakhan bit. That shit was fantastic, bro.
So good.
Yeah.
It's not on the show, but shit, man, we got CA here. When Ba and CA go back and forth on Twitter, arguing about they Duke Kentucky shit.
That's must see TV right there.
Yes, sir.
I gotta scroll for like 10 minutes to get to the top.
Yeah. Like, where did this shit start? Like, who started it?
Figure out what the genesis of the whole thing was.
Right.
Yeah, they be throwing haymakers at each other, man.
And it'll be real trivial too.
Hey, my best one, I think CA told Ba that Tracy Langdon was doing small engine repair in Alaska somewhere. And I fell out my chair.
Speaking of which, CA be said the most evil shit to niggas. I'm like, yo, this nigga has no heart, man.
Bushrod, I'm glad you brought that up because it made me think of another sports related thing when they were talking about athletes and what kind of products would they endorse, and they got to talking about Greg Monroe from Georgetown.
Oh, no.
And they were talking about Ba said, hey, young, he goes, he be slicing cabbage, young.
Oh,
he said, the Cabbage Association of America will hire that nigga, young.
Cabbage Association.
Y'all the first niggas that I've ever met that like took this shit so serious that like you follow these niggas outside of the league. Like Ba would size like niggas having good jobs and careers. Inside of basketball, like, Duke players, they become lawyers and shit. I'm like,
it counts.
It
count, nigga. It count.
He used to be sicing coaches.
Yes.
Coaches.
I heard him. Yeah, Quinn Snyder.
Right. He be sicing GM duties.
Yeah, like I don't care. You don't.
You're GM. Make the moves.
You must talk about Graham Hill.
As an MU nigga, fuck Quinn Snyder forever.
Yo, speaking of Grant Hill, who remembers when Ba went in on Grant Hill's mom not letting Grant date Jada?
Yeah,
I do not remember that at all.
Like, nope,
he won't stop.
I think it was during the entanglement. Talk with Will Smith.
Miss Hill saw that coming.
That Grant dodged that bullet.
She saw it coming.
She said she saw that coming.
Her mama sense was tingling.
Yeah.
Hey, so are we counting the Glenard and Giddy Up as a sport?
Oh
Yes.
shit!
Yeah, I had that.
It count, young.
So
Listen,
Giddy up,
Bro, I
dog.
be feeling
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
for KB on that one.
You be so
Man,
mad.
And
He
I
don't want to
try,
talk about it.
man.
That
And
was one
I
of those
so
I was
mad.
driving stories where I had to like almost pull over because like my head was like so light. I was so lightheaded laughing so hard.
Real
Yo,
tears.
let me tell
That
you a
nigga
quick
was so
story,
mad.
man.
So mad.
Yo, so in 2017, I closed on my house, and the next day is when I fucked my knee up. I fell down the stairs carrying a box. I was staying on the second floor apartment. I was carrying a box, fell down the stairs, tore my patella tendon. The funny thing was that before that happened, like earlier that day, I came out here to the new spot, and I had that week's episode of Firestarter loaded up on my iPad because I was like, you know, saying I'm gonna listen to that and do some stuff, you know, put some stuff away, all of that. So I'm listening to it, and somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody emailed the show, and they mentioned something about Little Rel playing Kenny in the Hollywood version of the Glenard Giddy Up. So I'm laughing at this nigga, and of course Sam and Tone start going in and laughing at the whole shit, and KB getting mad, hitting that So I'm laughing at that shit, right? So then a few hours later, that's when my injury happened, and he talked about like how his knee was dislocated and all that kind of stuff, and so my kneecap was out of place when I fell. So the first thing I thought was, shit, I didn't have a Glenard Giddy Up. I was thinking that, you know what I'm saying? I was like, that's what I get for laughing at Kenny's pain. You know what I'm saying?
Man, you don't just call the ambulance, please.
I got one quick question, but who got like all the old episodes?
I got a lot of them. I think Bushrod got some too.
I got a lot of them too.
I need the episode where they did the Michael Jordan draft spectacular, and they did all the picks in the Kingfish voice. I
That
had to leave work
Kingfish
early
so
that day,
good.
dog. It was a problem.
He shoot that ball good there.
I remember that.
That Kingfish is so good, dog.
We can't draft that nigga. He been done several times.
On the
Kingfish is
website.
best.
That Kingfish so good. I feel like I'm a slave listening to a radio program, nigga. That Kingfish so good, dog.
So good. It just be coming out of nowhere too. That's what get me. That
Yeah.
first time he did it, I
Damn.
didn't know what was going on. Bro.
And the best shit is like the Kingfish has variants now. I remember somebody was doing a RZA. They were talking about the Wu-Tang series. Somebody did a RZA impression. They was like, and Tom was like, "Hold up, nigga, that's your RZA fish." You know?
You don't never know who's gonna get kingfished either, man. It be
So good.
like it be like people that don't even talk like that. You like
No.
Yo, y'all remember the Manti Teo joint that they did? The skit they did before the episode?
real tears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just the amount of names that
Shit,
Michael
he
Herman
had to
called
follow,
him.
yeah.
He called him Tomac, Mateo.
Tom Mateo, man.
He called him Mama
That's
Jamma.
one of my aliases.
He called him Mandy.
DC.
Oh,
He called him
God,
Man
what
DC.
else he call him?
DC, yes.
Yeah, man, DC. He said, "Now, man, DC."
I'm in DC's.
And man, then when K-Bad came back with that fucking Roger Mayweather.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
That Micah.
This fish.
Yeah. Man. Yo,
These
so
niggas are crazy, man.
So we're gonna move into the entertainment segment now. So I have a couple of my favorite Firestarter related movie reviews. So excuse me. I'll start. It was a movie called The Chernobyl Diaries. And I remember Ba had taken delight in this review because he said his favorite subgenre of movie is white people making bad decisions. And like it was like a group of white folks, and they walked into this reactor, and they were like, "I don't think we should be in here." And he had the one alpha male talking about stop being a pussy. And then all of a sudden, he said they looked at the Geiger counter started moving, and the girl looked. She was like, "Oh my God, I think we're in the reactor." And Boss said, "Man, I looked at that Geiger counter." He said, "I looked at the Geiger counter. That shit might as well have said damn." You know? He said, I can't remember who the guy was. I want to say it was like Chris Hemsworth or something. He was like, he trying to be the alpha male, talking about stop being a pussy, young. All died young. All died young.
I love the M. Night Shyamalan agenda.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how he can stick to this
Night
through all
Dog.
these movies, but this man will never say Night Dog failed ever.
Yeah. Taylor Kitsch one too.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
with him on that. I was with him on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
You gotta give
what was
Bob-
it? Mackie? Who was it? Mackie versus
Chad.
somebody.
Chad.
Chad.
Versus Chad.
Yeah.
And I'm with him on the Sandy agenda too.
Julie
Yeah.
Roberts.
what, Sandra
Oh, that
Bullock?
was crazy. I
Yeah,
never
Sandra
understood
Bullock.
that one at all.
No,
And
that
my-
was like a throwback to the 90s. They used to
Yeah.
bring
Didn't
up,
Bob
like,
have a
old
Claire
college
Danes
run.
one too from some show that she was on recently?
Mhm. My so-called life.
Yeah.
But
And I got a my other favorite movie review from Bob was that movie The Call, where Halle Berry played the 911 dispatcher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this was when Abigail Breslin was the little girl. She got abducted, and she was on the phone with Halle Berry, and Bob's like, man, he goes, you know, she trying to talk to this girl. She in the trunk. She talking about, yeah, what's your sign, girl? And the girl talking about Capricorn. Bob said she was in that trunk scared as shit talking about her sign, yo. It was that, and then there was another part, and he was like, and the shit that pissed me off, young, was fucking Morris Chestnut trying to act sexy and seductive for no reason. He said, I think she did a 911 call, and the person on the other line ended up getting killed. And I guess Morris was trying to console her, and he said, man, Morris was looking all her Halle face like, I'm here for you, girl. You know, you gotta shake yourself up. You know, you gotta shake yourself off. You know, you lost one. You gotta keep moving. And Bob said, I got disgusted. I was in the theater. I said, man, get the fuck up out her face, young. Little girl died young. Acting sexy, young.
Move
Bam
around.
ass nigga, young.
Hey, my favorite was when he was talking about that movie Alice. He saw the previews. He was like, I was in the movies, young. And I was like, oh, this look pretty good. And then here come Carmen.
That nigga Bob hate Carmen. Carmen come into a movie, he is out of there.
Hey, you know what? K-Bad
I
hates him
wanna see
too, though.
that.
The signal, it worked.
Boss said,
Yeah, what movie was that?
Terminator. The
Terminator Salvation. Yes.
it worked. It's beautiful.
The signal, it worked.
When Bob kept was talking about Black Panther, and he said all he do is be scratching people.
He should be scratching no powers.
But Boss said Common only be getting them roles because he'd be showing up to the auditions on time. They know they can depend on him to show up.
Yeah.
And
He
he
don't
nice to
bother
everybody on set.
nobody.
He don't bother nobody.
He don't bother nobody.
He don't do nothing, and he ain't nobody too.
That too.
I can't remember what movie it was. And K-Bad offered his 2 cents. He was like, and I wish I could remember the movie. And he was like, it was so good, young, up until fucking Common, young. God damn, young.
Stop.
I mean,
went and saw-
K-Bad was insane. He was like, God damn, he can't act, young.
He can't act. He be doing voice acting. I went and saw, what was that? It was a cartoon, Little Bigfoot, or whatever the fuck with my kids. I probably take the fuck out of that, my bad. And I was like, damn, why am I annoyed? And then at the end, this nigga Common had a rap scene. I said, God damn it, it's fucking Common. That's why I'm fucking annoyed.
Hey, one of
Who
the
was,
funniest bar reviews is he reviewed Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. And he was talking about how he fell asleep and he was knocked out. And how when he woke up, the credits was on. He was like, man, them teenagers probably looking at me laughing and shit.
That was good.
Man.
Them sleeps,
Them sleeps. I've been talking to my coworkers about sleeps.
Going to see one movie and then sneaking into another one. That shit.
Oh, the movie
man.
debate. Oh, yeah, that was a thing for a while.
Yeah.
The sleeps
Still
never
is.
made sense, but they
You're right.
do.
They
Right.
yeah.
Like they don't really make. Like, there's no way to calculate another nigga's sleeps. You know? They really be talking like it makes sense. Like, yeah, I had 3 sleeps. Yeah, that joint's about 3 sleeps. I'm like,
They do them half sleep sometimes.
Yeah.
2.5 sleeps.
Did you have a Did you have a 12-hour shift before you went to watch this nigga? What's happening?
I be worried about their health. Like, man, you should get some more sleep, brother. It's really not that hard to be
You need a CPAP, nigga. What's going on, nigga?
Saying, yo, they be going to 12. They be going to 12 noon movies and sleeping in them. I'm like,
sleeping on the
yeah,
phone,
bro. Like, this might need to be in the wash segment. You know what I mean?
Wasn't there one movie that Boss said he saw, and like some little boy near him kept like messing with his chair, and like the chair kept I can't remember what the movie was, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but that shit was funny because he was talking about that little boy hitting them buttons on that chair, and people getting mad at it and shit.
Hitting them buttons.
Yeah,
Hey,
buttons, John.
Bob, one of my favorites. They interviewed that they reviewed Bad Boys 3, and they was talking about Martin had that face blow, and they started talking about Dave Peaston.
Yeah.
Is that Peaston?
Yo, Toon was cooking on that one. He talked about his face being fat for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to them niggas putting me on the people I've never heard of. I had to Google Dave Peaston because they didn't provide no background. I was like, who the fuck is David Peaston?
Salute. Yes, sir.
I saw the picture, I busted out laughing.
I remember
I don't
all
know.
them damn references.
I don't know if it's this.
Review,
oh, my bad. Go ahead. Go ahead, Pimp.
My favorite review is that Tyler Perry joint with Journey Smollett, Temptation. He said everybody got AIDS, young. They all got AIDS. Said she got that AIDS lip at the end, boy.
Should be laughing about AIDS. Damn.
The Tyler Perry movie with Brandy.
Yeah,
that's where the AIDS limp originated from.
Yeah. He said they all got AIDS. It's like that shit Mark showed me. Oh, boy.
I don't know if it's this segment, but when that nigga Tone be like, I don't know if it's a bit now, but when he be faking stupid on them Star Wars and how that shit, nigga, I be in my car. He's frowning and smiling at the same time. I'm like, nigga, it's not that fucking
shit,
hard.
That shit is the motherfucking like who's on first.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Rod. Yes.
That's exactly what I wrote
every time, and like K-Bad be legitimately upset every time.
The one that got me will, and Tone know what he be doing, bro. I don't remember what he called. What's some big things in Star Wars that be
AT-ATs? I think that's what it's called.
Oh my god, bro. I know if Kenny had a sandwich in his hand, that thing flew across.
Slam. It was slam.
It was.
I remember.
It's the way that Kenny sees it coming.
Yeah,
you can feel the resignation inside of him. I'm not doing this time. Yeah. And Tone will keep innocently asking questions for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Kenny, I can't ask you a question. I
just be on mute the whole time.
That innocence, nigga. I'll be like, nigga, you know what you doing, nigga. Stop.
So, like on his Instagram, when he did the May the 4th post, and he had a picture of the Starship Enterprise. I was like, this.
So is it the fourth movie is the first movie, right? Like the fourth one, I don't get it.
Yo, I be feeling for Kenny, nigga. I be feeling for Kenny.
Review.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a review. It was for Endgame. Yeah, it was for Endgame.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about them circles.
Them circles, nigga. Yeah, nigga.
Before the movie started though, Tone was tweeting and he said, it was Ba actually, I think. He goes, I got my eye on 2 nerds who I'm pretty sure are going to be crying by the end of this movie. And then by the end of the movie, he was crying himself.
Legendary. I love when Tone try to pull the like, I'm not a nerd. I don't get this nerd shit.
Yeah.
You ask this nigga anything about a DC animated flick.
Yes.
Like he be putting me on the shit. I'll be like, that's all okay. Shit. I don't know Tone.
But then be like, it's different. I'm like, nigga, no, it's not. Stop, nigga.
So speaking of different, the best is when they be trolling Kenny because they be trying to pretend like, well, actually, I don't even know what they pretended. They don't know the MCU joints from the Sony joints.
Yeah.
And Kenny,
it be the worst ones. It's like, nah, man, Morbius, it count. Like, no, it don't.
Ghost Rider.
See, that's different. That's different.
How about that Spider-Man review when Bob did that Paul Giamatti impersonation?
I'm the
Rhino.
Oh my
Yeah. Yo, and then another one about that one when he was talking recently about playing with his son,
Yeah,
the video game and doing the Rhino voice.
His son wanted to be.
Oh, that was classic.
He's like, I fucked up because now he wants me to do the voice all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That joke was so whack and good too. That's what made it so
so
good.
basic, man.
Real basic.
Y'all niggas got me crying, bro.
Oh, that
shit.
Avatar.
Yeah.
I've never seen a nigga love Avatar so much.
Because he got that James Cameron agenda.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the nigga really liked the movie or not. He just got that agenda.
You never know.
He got to go with it.
The man
You
has
gotta
principles.
salute.
When they were
You gotta
laughing at that
salute.
Reddit, they were laughing at that Reddit post off the first Avatar, and dude said he wanted to go live up on that. He wanted to go live up on that planet with them.
Them nerds are so serious. Oh boy.
You
Oh, that's
gotta
good
give Bob props though, because he was the first person to like support Tyler Perry when
Yep.
everybody was like
True.
shitting on him actively.
Mhm.
And then I don't remember what movie it was, but Tone was like, "Yo, like, did you go see such and such?" He was like, "Oh no, that's some shit." He's like, "I thought that's your man." He's like, "Nah, he sucks." I was like, "Yo,
He used to be Sice
I
and
just
Tyler.
believe-
He used to Sice Tyler and be like the auteur.
Yeah.
But like, he
honestly,
understood what
Bob
it meant
and Rod
to
got me
support
to
him,
come
though. I
around on
loved it.
Tyler Perry because I wasn't rocking with Tyler. I was one of those people that dissed him. But hearing Rod and Bob talk about like how overall he's good for black people in entertainment and acting, all that kind of stuff, I was like, you know what, these brothers are right. Let me stop tripping or whatever. So shout out to them.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the podcast, the Fiyastarter podcast, Rob's podcast, what makes those podcasts so well rounded is you can go in with one agenda or like one thought on the topic, and you hear their views and their opinions on it, and it changes your mind. I don't consider myself like a follower, but I'm like, you know what, these are some great points. I think I'm gonna change my view on this. I think that's what makes the podcast to me just excellent, because you're right. I wasn't a Tyler Perry fan, but then I heard Rod and Bob talking about all the black people he employed and the things that he does for the community and just how he's done for the entire industry. I'm like, you know what? I like this dude now, and I ride with him. Same with Floyd. I did the same thing with Floyd. They changed my opinion on Floyd.
Yeah, it just be getting to me when people won't give credit where it's due. Like, you don't even gotta like the shit.
Yeah.
Like, nigga, ain't nobody else doing that, and it's a lot. The thing that used to piss me off, I hate to go on a tangent, but the thing that used to piss me off the most was like, it'll be niggas standing on his shoulders, shitting on him. Like, bruh, they wouldn't have gave you that motherfucking dear white people if Tyler ain't already proved you can make money like that.
That's true.
Correct.
But, yo, that when I think the agenda hit its peak when he found out that they filmed Black Panther at Tyler Perry's joint.
Yep.
You couldn't tell Boss shit. You couldn't tell Boss shit after that.
Marvel was on them sound stages, dog.
Named after great great cinema black people or whatever he said. That shit was hilarious.
Boss said, Tyler know his lane, young. He said he know the women they getting them hats. They come out to watch the movies, young. He know what they like. They put them hats on and go out there and watch.
They be getting them hats.
He was slicing that box office too.
I think Danny and Bushrod should have a buy off, nigga. That's just getting Bushrod
pretty good, man.
Pretty good, dog.
Look at that, Danny.
Danny got it for real.
Actually, I'll get into that in the next segment. So
my favorite, hold on. I can't forget this. My favorite all-time movie segment was Bob breaking down sneaking in the movies and hiding in the bathroom, and how perplexed Tone he could not
turn his nose up.
Yeah, exactly.
Acting all in.
He's like, nah, I hide in the bathroom. I just get on my phone, I wait for the next movie, and then I just like, are you serious? Oh, that shit.
This nigga was like a cat burglar at the movie.
Yo, he got so mad about assigned seats, dog. Like it fucked up his whole flow.
Ruined everything. Oh man.
Boy, he is a nut when it comes to theater etiquette, boy. I tell you.
Yes.
Man, so
I never understand how he watches so many movies. Like every episode,
you
it's
can
like
watch a lot of movies if you sleep through half of them.
Good point. So I want to get into the next segment, which is tanks. So
yes.
Yeah, I just want to talk about some of your favorite tanks.
You know what? When you sent us the show notes, I automatically had like 2 or 3 written down. But first off, I just go ahead and say, Good Time Willie was probably one of my favorites. Demetrius, when they called the time describing Prometheus. Somebody called Randy the Hitman Savage. And then I think people forget, like I go back to Dan Martino, of course, calling, Dan Martino, but I listened to the episode the other day, and do y'all remember what the tanks were before he got to Dan Martino? He called Teddy Bridgewater Teddy Bridges.
Remember that?
And then he called James Winston Newkirk.
Newkirk. That nigga don't even be trying, dog.
Yo.
He does it so easily. That's the thing. It just comes out of nowhere.
I just see that nigga in the armchair, leaning back and just saying shit and then turning around like motherfucking Inspector Gadget petting the cat, nigga, just not caring, nigga. That's how.
Yo.
I remember he called Herschel Walker Herschel Whitaker.
Yep.
Somebody said Willie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was Martino or
no, it was somebody on they said it was a Family Feud tank. Somebody asked the dude to name a famous Willie, and he said Willie the Pooh.
Oh yeah. Martino had another one. I think he went to the wrong place. They were supposed to be going to watch a basketball game.
Oh, I know.
I think the place was called Peppers or something like that. But this nigga went to Chili's instead. That one was funny as hell.
My dad
I like Larry Fishburne.
Yeah, that's the one I was about to say.
That's so
Lawrence Fishburne.
That's not even a name. Like how you?
I feel like my man Dan Martino might have like a literal medical condition.
There's no way.
It's called Sundowners, Rod.
It's called
Sundowners.
He just don't care. He don't care at all. Like one of my favorites was just after Trump had got elected. I think it was like the next year. We were sitting around talking about how much he hated him. He's like, I wouldn't piss on that dude if he was drowning. What's the other one he had? He went to Vegas and called the Blue Man Group, Bald Head Group.
The Bald Head Group, yes.
That one. There's what's the other one he had? Oh, he said they were asking about the Steelers and they were playing the Cowboys on Thanksgiving or something like that. We asked him if he watched it. He said, I'd rather listen to paint dry.
I had one where I called I think the place Rob was the place in Charlotte that had the frozen daiquiris. Is that called like Wet Willies or something like that?
Yeah, Wet Willies.
Yeah, I called this shit Chili Willies. I was like at work. I was at work and I was talking about it and I said Chili Willies. I had to report that on myself. And they cooked pretty good off of that one. So I thought that was a good one.
You talk about Dan Martino though, but on the real, like Karen is pretty.
The tank. Hey,
yep.
I don't know if it was a tank, but it was definitely in the email section, and it was on a Black Guy Tip show. But they definitely was in the email when Karen talked about putting the medicine in the glasses. Nigga, I had to pull my car over. Nigga, I was like,
yeah.
Put the medicine
in
the glass.
She recently was trying to reference a couple of Impossible White Man TV shows and called him Ryan Reacher.
No. Oh no.
I think my favorite Karen tank, she called Michael Clark Duncan Eric Tyson Jr.
I get it though.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes. My favorite of all time.
Oh man.
I get it though. That nigga use a lot of words.
My favorite
Eric,
Karen joint was when
oh
she,
yeah.
my favorite Karen joint was she called Pet Boys Three Guys.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I mean, it is 3 of them.
She was in the
She ain't
car
wrong.
like, what the fuck do that mean?
Hey, no, the funniest ones was whenever a tank goes sideways, and then Tone be like, "Yo, but that works better though.
It's
That
better.
works
Better.
Yeah.
It sound better.
It sound better."
Cause they be laughing, they be like, that's better though. That's better.
Like I think Martino did that. What he called, what was that show? He called Smart Guy Smart Alec.
That's the one.
Sound better.
That's the one.
Hey, didn't he call the Denzel movie Safeway instead of Safe House?
That was somebody else. That's good though.
Yeah.
Somebody hit Safeway.
Allow it.
That was pretty good.
Somebody called. I think Rod had one. He called Louisiana Purchase, the Louisiana
Compromise. I listened to that episode today. I listened to that episode today, man. Shout out to Byron Long.
Yeah, yo. I think about that story all the time, bro. This man really was trying to convince us that wasn't gay.
Yeah, Tone was like, man, having another boy, having another boy
was
cock in your mouth, and you trying
It was a little
tell us
Latin
it's not
boy.
gay? Like, young Latin boy.
Oh my god. Man,
Yeah, we were so ignorant back then.
Oh man,
Yes.
that one in the chili grapes episode.
Chili grapes.
Ooh, man.
Yeah, there was so many. You talk about chili grapes, and I love like when they break down all the slang every now and then. They do it like at least once a year. They'll break down all the slang for us. But they used to have so many segments that, like one during the tank segment, they used to play Master P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the colonel of the motherfucking tank.
I used to get so charged up when I hear that shit. Like, here we go.
It would be tight. It would be tight. And they had the Tone had the winching section that was really good.
Winching.
And
And the porn rankings.
Black women. Yeah, black women. Black women
don't notice.
But don't notice. Yeah, nigga.
Didn't K-Man say he wanted y'all to
went in
delete
on
all
that,
them episodes?
I don't want to not see no black women who don't change they smoke alarm battery. Yo, start laughing.
Yeah.
Hey, Bushrod, do you remember the segment when they were talking about what constitutes being a Bama?
Yes.
I think it might have been episode 13. And K-Bad was talking about that he was in line at Chick-fil-A and this dude was was parked behind him in the Chrysler 300 at like 1:30 in the afternoon with all 4 windows down, blasting Freak Me by Silk. Like, that's he said, bam ass nigga, yo.
Freak me, baby.
Yo,
1:30 in the afternoon.
speaking of chicken, who remember when Bob thought them cups came with the
sauce
with the dipping bowls?
The bowls.
Kenny talking about them damn dipping sauce dipping bowls. Yeah.
Or Magic Sparkle from Popeye.
Oh, the Cajun Sparkle. That's a
Cajun
tank.
Sparkle.
Cajun Sparkle.
That's a
Yo,
tank.
you know what? They turned me on to that. I didn't know that. They turned me on to that. I didn't know that.
Right.
That Magic
They
Sparkle
turned me on to
good, yo.
I
Magic
remember Rod and Justin talking
It's
about
better.
that pregame too. That
It's
Magic
better.
Sparkle.
It was something else K-Bad used to say from Papa. It was the waffle tenders.
Yes. Yeah.
They were fire though. I'm not gonna lie.
I never had them. And I remember Tone piggybacked on that. And he was like, man, I remember I went to Popeyes one day and I was like, yeah, let me just get a crawfish box. We'll get the crawfish meal. And he was like, they just give me a big ass box full of crawfish. He was like, all right, bet. So he said, I came back the next day. No, he said he went to a different Popeyes. And he was like, yeah, I want to get the crawfish box. I don't want to get nothing else. He was like, sir, we don't do something. Like, we don't do that. And he was like, but I just had that at the other location. Like, we don't do that. He's like, let me see your manager. He's like, I ain't got time for this shit, yo.
Man,
pressed
you know
for that
what?
crawfish box, bro.
Remember when Patty
Speaking
Pies
of-
came out and he sent his mom on a mission to find the joint to like Virginia. I had all the Marylands. He had Eastern and Southern Virginia. Just up in DC to find them. Patty Pies.
How about when
Yeah,
K-Bad felt
he was just on your podcast, Danny, when I think you asked him like what were some of his favorite things he wish they would bring back. And I think you mentioned Mighty Wings.
Yeah.
It looked like KB went into a trance. It was like, oh my God. Like they quite possibly top 2 or 3 all-time best wings ever.
Hey man, there's something to be said about food when you bite into it and it transports you. It's like some ratatouille shit.
Or it's hot chicken. It's hot chicken quest in Nashville.
Man, I feel so. I pray he finds a hot chicken that's up to his standards, because it doesn't seem like he's having such good luck with that.
Yeah, he's slandering the whole city behind that.
Yeah, no shit. Oh man.
I had one.
How about you, man? You remember when K-Bet fell asleep?
Yes,
yeah. And he out of nowhere, he just
Yo, man.
I was looking around like, did somebody in the motherfucking EP lab fall asleep? What the fuck is
I
happening?
forgot about that till one of you guys said it in the tweet the other day, and I was like, I forgot all about that shit.
They used to be recording so late, like
yeah,
so long. Like I've been a guest on before where like we starting at 9, and then we do a 4-hour show. It's like, oh my God, bro. I mean, I loved every second of it, but yeah, it was a reason them niggas were sleepy.
But yo, let me ask y'all this though. Do y'all skip any segments?
No,
never.
I can't
The only time I
skip
fast
TV.
forward through something is if it's like a spoiler for something I want to watch.
Right.
Yeah,
And
like
then
a movie.
I come back after I watch it.
Yeah. I can't miss a second because somebody
you
gonna
never
say,
know.
It's so
somebody
good.
gonna say something in there.
It's
It's
gonna
so
go
good.
off.
It's
I
so
skipped the
good.
Game of Thrones segment when they used to watch that, because that shit would get like 2 hours up fast. I don't care. I don't care about that show enough to do it. So I'm like, y'all got it. But other than that, I watch everything. Listen to everything.
But I would like sometimes I'll listen to shit that I don't watch just because I want to hear them talk about it. So they like I've never seen that fucking show with Axe or whatever.
Billions.
I ain't never seen Billions, but like
that's
I'm
good.
invested in them talking about that shit though.
Billions.
I
I
didn't
didn't watch
one
Succession
show.
either.
They turned me on to like
they're
Ratchet
the
TV
ones that got
because-
me onto Love and Hip Hop, because I wasn't even
Exactly. I
watching
was just about to say that.
It got me onto
Yeah,
that.
I never watched that kind of TV, like reality TV. But listening to them talk about love and hip hop, and it really was with the Atlanta version.
Yeah.
I was like, let me watch this to see what the hell going on, and yeah, it just kind of got the same vibe.
My name is Rashida, and I rap like
Shorty Low.
Plus, you can't skip a segment because you never know when they're gonna go off on a tangent, and it just makes some real funny stuff.
Yeah.
So I might skip something like Rod if I feel like I'm gonna be spoiled.
Right.
But then I'll keep hitting fast forward. I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah.
And then
Why
I'll
they
go
laughing
back.
so hard?
Yeah, I'll go back and catch
Right.
the
Start
joke.
cooking. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
when I
find out they
when I-
arguing about Maryland versus DC, and then it's like a 3-hour podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose
Super
city
Maryland.
is better?
Trolling
Super
KB about that
Maryland.
one.
them
Where's
Hampton,
KD
them
really
Hampton,
from?
them Hampton versus Howard debates,
Oh,
man.
man.
Oh yeah, dog. Especially when MBJ is on there and they get
Ugh.
into it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Love it.
Yeah, they
Love
had
it. Love it.
they do a my son, like I said, I've been listening to him since my kids. My sons were kids, so they would always hear it in the background. And my son was in college, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, do you have any of the old episodes when they were talking about?" He remembered. I didn't remember. He was like, they were talking about voting, and he said it was like a 45-minute conversation on how important voting was. Didn't even know my son was listening, that intently, but it actually caught his attention, as a kid. And he remembered it when he was in college. And I was just, one of the things I was telling them was like, man, this show has, my kids were raised on it, and the influence they've had, not just with the funny segments, but the things that are eye-opening in regards to how they look at things politically, and something they just didn't touch on. And the crazy thing was, is if they didn't touch on it, I was like, you know what? It's not even that important to me either, because they're right. It's not that crazy. So it's just a cool ass. That
was one of the things I liked about the outrage segment.
Yep.
Like that really did change the way I looked at a lot of shit, because it was like, especially the term outrage flopping, it's so perfect.
Yeah.
Like how motherfuckers will just be saying the craziest shit, and then the second you say something back, they I'm injured. It's like that shit really did put a lot of stuff with the internet in perspective for me.
And it was the self-reflection on that, Rod, too, because the thing about that thing was, Bod says this, and I looked at it myself. when he says, if you like someone, you go ride with them no matter what. And when you don't ride with them. And I was like, you know what? I'm the same damn way. So it was perfect.
Yep.
The most profound shit Ba ever said was when honestly, I don't remember which black man got killed by police at the time, but when he was just like, he felt like the Hulk.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm always angry.
Always angry, yeah.
I was like, yo, that personified how I felt about that shit. It's like you're numb to it because it's like you just carry that shit your whole life. And as a black man, you know, like I really related to that shit. So I was like, these
like,
and
to Bushra's point earlier, that's one of the things that I love the most about this show, and what I also love about Rod and Karen shows, that both of these shows, that's why they're both my number one favorite joints. The perspective that they have when it comes to, it could be the silly shit, but also like when they talk about the real shit, they come with great perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's stuff that I agree with, but even if I don't, I can see, like, I see the math. I see how they got there. I understand the point that they're making, and it's a well thought out point, and it's something that, even though we might not exactly be on the same page, we're at least in the same chapter. You know what I mean? So that's something that I appreciate about Black Guy Who Tips and Firestarter.
100%.
Well, I know we might be coming to a close, but I can't leave the porn rankings out. My favorite byline ever was they were doing the porn rankings, and then he actually turned me on to Skin Diamond as well. But he was saying,
he's writing down names like, hold up.
I said Skin
Diamond.
She's so fine, young. Stand up and jerk. I just stand up and I gotta stand up and jerk on Skin Diamond. I said, good God.
They had a whole debate on which
chain.
Hey, that whole debate about taking her out.
Yo,
yeah, I was about to say that.
With a top hat on.
I don't know if they said the name of it, but it was some woman that KB said he saw out somewhere. He was like about to holler at her. I don't know if it was Skin or if it was somebody else.
It was Skin.
Was so disgusting.
Remember how they used to go in on K-Bad for like an old women?
I was just about to say that shit. I was just about to say that shit.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Those are the first dudes that I ever really heard refer to it as smut. And it's been like smut just got just a different tinge to it, man. It just sounds
what was always funny about the porn rankings too was that like Bon Kenny would have their probably written out, like they would have their list, and Tone used to always act like he was so disgusted, so above it, like, ew, y'all watch porn, you know what I'm saying?
I can't remember what scene it was with Skin Diamond. I remember Ba, he was so taken aback, and he was like, man, and it was involved. It involved a lollipop, and I remember his voice just got real low. He goes, yeah, put that lollipop in her butt, young.
Hey, and there was another one. It might have been with Skin too, or whatever. He was talking about somebody blowing milk out of her butt. And you remember that? She was blowing that milk out of her butt, young. I was like, wow.
Remember when Tone finally joined the party? And he started sending a video to he texted Bob a video, and Bob was so mad. He's like, my wife took my phone. Tone was like, my bad, man, sorry. What are you doing?
Yeah, man, they used to go in on how they used to download porn and talk about the old porn days. Like, young, you start at night, you get it in the morning.
Yeah, it'll be finished by the morning. Yeah.
And then your sister get on the phone, fuck it up.
Hey, all the BGOL niggas know that.
Bruh.
Out to mega upload.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Pirate Bay.
Z-Share.
I think it was 2 episodes ago, and they was talking about how they was disgusted how they was now putting the porn on the Twitter feed, and them niggas was like,
yeah,
wait a minute.
They was blaming me for that shit.
Yeah, nigga, that was blaming you, nigga.
They was blaming me for that. It was like, Tone looking at
and then they try to say a nigga was a savage because he looked at that shit on his browser at work.
Yeah.
But my favorite shit though is anytime Prince Joshua got mentioned, Bob just buddy, he hated Prince Joshua.
He hate that
He
nigga.
don't like
He was like the Deion Waiters of the porn game.
Yeah.
100%.
He used to sound so concerned.
The
He'd be
common
like,
of slut.
he gonna hurt somebody, young. He gonna
He's
hurt
doing that move, young. He's doing that stupid
He
move.
doing that flip. He be pile driving him, yo. He gonna paralyze that bitch, yo.
Some of the knee pads he always got on, and them boots. Boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got them construction Timbs
Them
on.
bum ass knee pads.
Them Pat Ewing knee
man.
pads.
He is the worst. He is the worst, though.
Yeah, him, and he hated Julian St. Jacques too.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't he also hate Mark Anthony? He was like, he just be having a little bit of nut or something like that.
And it was him, and it was Isaiah Maxwell. He was like, I don't want to see that noodle dick ass nigga. You know?
Yeah, they ruined Gianna Michaels for me because they talked about she never be wet, and I was like, damn,
Nah,
it's true.
you can't ruin Gianna Michaels for me.
Nah, man.
I will go
Man.
past all that shit. Now the way they and Rod used to just break that shit down, I'm like, y'all niggas are like, I thought I was a scumbag. Y'all are like professional. y'all give me something to look up to.
Yeah.
Hey man, calling what do you call it, the MacBook a porn machine?
MacBook of
Virus.
porn. That's good shit.
Then he had Windows till he had another smut crash. Boy.
Oh shit, man! This is a great episode, man, fellas. Once again, man, thank y'all so much for coming on board, man. I could
Thank
not have
you,
done this
bro.
without y'all.
Thanks for putting it together, bro. For real.
Yes,
for real.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Man,
you. Bro.
it's-
Thank you.
Look,
And keep
it's
doing
no
what you're
show.
doing
It's,
too, man. Keep
it's
doing
no
what you're
show
doing.
without
Your
y'all,
podcast
man.
is nice.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you.
just glad that I was able to just fellowship with like-minded fellas and who really rock with the show as long as I have, man. And just being able to go back to memory lane. Oh man, the amount of sweat that left me from
I'm
cooking
hot.
so hard,
I'm over
man.
here hot right now, man.
Dude,
It's warm.
Almost car accidents.
whew, sweating, young.
People staring at you in your cubicle.
Hey, Danny, did you always have a bar impression, or was that like a recent thing?
You know what? I've always had it. Oddly enough, shout out to Black Rob and Liz. They came to Charleston. They were just passing through, and I met them for dinner one time, and we were just sitting outside, waiting on that table. And for some reason, Fiyastarter podcast came up, and they started talking about something Boss said for that in the most recent episode. And I didn't think anything of it. I just broke out into his voice like, man, he Bama like shit, And Black Rob turned around. He was like, yo, that was pretty good. I was like, thanks, man. I didn't think anything of it. This was like back in 2018. Fast forward to August of last year. Meet up with Rick. At we met up in Chapel Hill. We went to the UNC football game, the home opener against FAMU. So we're just walking around on Franklin Street prior to us letting us in the gate. And once again, Fiyastarter episode comes up, talking about something Boss said, and I did the impression, and he had the RCA dog look. He just turned around and he was like, hold on now. What you just said? Do that again? I was like, man, he a Bama like shit, And I was like, he was like, dude. And once again, I didn't think anything of it. So we go in the game. Fast forward, it was like probably midway through the second quarter. My phone buzzes. I look at it, and Rick tweets, and he @s me in his tweet. And he's like, by the way, Foxworth Danny has a damn good bar impression. Damn near Jamie Foxx level. And I'm like, shit, he done put me on the spot now. I'm trying to enjoy this football game. And then once he tweeted that, then Bob comes in the comments. He's like, I'd like to hear it. I was like, fuck, here we go. And I was like, all right, so I'll tell you what, after I leave the game, I'll do it. So I left the game like right after the fourth quarter was about to end. And I walk back to the parking garage. I get in my car. I do a quick video, put it on Twitter. I go back to my hotel. I go to bed, think nothing of it. When I woke up the next morning, and my mentions were in shambles. I was like, holy shit, what have I done?
good.
And yeah, it just caught fire after that.
That
And
shit
then
was classic.
Yeah.
thank you, man.
So
And
good.
Bob was like, he was mad about something the next morning. And I was like, man, that sounds like a good scenario. I might put that to video. And he was like, man, do it, young. And then, so I didn't. And Bob
It
just
was them
replied,
gloves.
The gloves, yeah.
Them gloves.
Yeah.
no, oh, what was the video about? Oh, I was talking about he was mad that he had to go pick his son up from school. And I think he said he like fucked his back up trying to pick him up. And I just took that scenario and ran with it. And then he just quote tweeted my video. He was like, this fucking guy with a bunch of laughing emojis. I'm like, oh man. I hadn't done a video in a minute either.
I know.
Yeah, I need a scenario to come up with, but yeah, that's
I do want to preview this podcast.
oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Damn, that's a
Working on my
damn good
TKO
idea.
impersonation.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do too. So
Hey, Danny,
once
I'm
go ahead.
working on my TKO impersonation. I ain't gonna release it just yet, but I'm working on one though.
Okay.
I think I got him.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to hear it, man. I need a K-Bat impression too.
Yeah.
Just being mad. That's a K-Bad impersonation.
Yeah, just
being mad. Throwing shit.
Pessimistic bads, man.
Just a nigga breathing into a microphone going, mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
He gets-
young. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yo, if he gets real mad, he'll hit you with a fuck you mean, yo.
The TKO say, "You got your hand on your hip when you said that."
Sassy bads, nigga.
Sassy bad.
Oh my God.
Don't be trolling the shit out of Kenny, man.
He
That's
do
not fair.
You fall for it every time too. That's the best
Yeah,
part.
Every single time.
every
You
time.
see it coming too. That's what killed me.
Yeah.
Like I said,
That
like
too.
Star Wars segments, you see it coming.
That
Soon
Fall,
too.
fall for
Soon as
that
he-
trap every time.
Soon as K-Bad say, go ahead, young.
Yeah.
That's when it starts. That's when it's about to
Yeah.
start.
Yep.
Yep.
Hands up record draft.
Twirling his mustache.
Yep.
It's-
Yep.
Oh man, so fellas, I think about to wrap this one here up. So yeah, once again, Will, Leonard Brothers, Bushrod, KC Stork, CA Huggins, Ricky GQ, Rodimus Prime, Mr. Hate Coffee, man, Dan Martino. Man, hold up, wait a second. So are you the ones that send in their emails?
Sir.
Oh
shit.
my God, what a bombshell.
Ain't
What?
no-
Legend.
All right. All
Flex
right.
bomb.
You know what? Because this
Is he real?
Yes.
dude,
It's very real. So
Dude.
last
Damn.
Sunday,
dude.
We in the
I've been
presence
trying
of
to catch him on-
greatness.
I've been trying to catch him on camera. He's like that frog in Looney Tunes. The camera ain't on him. He just lets him fly. As soon as I hit record, I'll be sitting there like this. Perfect
No.
moment.
Yeah.
Can't catch
Please,
him. Too
I'm
good.
asking you, please protect that man at all costs.
All right, yeah.
Protect that man at all costs.
He's a
Call
national
Joe
player.
Biden, say we need a security detail around this nigga right now.
Dog,
Oh,
Brian,
brother.
no bullshit. That bombshell you just it's almost akin to when K-Bad realized that Preston Elder wasn't real.
Wasn't real.
Oh, nigga.
Oh.
I used to
Yes.
think Trill was the guy
Trill.
right in the Dan Martino.
Real.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, this is too funny to be real. Like, I can't believe this shit.
You
God
fucked
damn.
me up just now.
That's
I forgot
awesome.
about that.
And
yo.
I felt for that shit too, dog. As a vet, nigga, I was like, oh man. They was like, I was like, man, fuck this nigga.
Real Mazeroski.
Yeah, man.
Oh man. And when Trill fessed up to him being the
Oh,
the
nigga.
mastermind
God.
behind it,
nigga
and then it was
mad.
just that dead silence from K-Bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that was heartbreaking. That
Oh,
was
Kenny
heartbreaking,
was
dog.
invested in that, man.
So
Yo,
good.
Trill was so deep in character. This nigga made Yelp reviews as Preston.
It's
Yes.
like some method acting shit, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That shit was
That,
deep.
that Atlanta
That's
Red
another
Lobster one was so
exhibition, wasn't
good. Oh my God, that Red Lobster one, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can laugh now.
One thing we didn't talk about the Dem Thrones debacle of
Oh man.
Oh,
Man, that-
Man.
them haters, nigga. That's what shit,
Yeah.
shit we call, bro.
Right.
Yo, you know what? But big props to Rod because they like the Fiyastarter podcast took the high road, and Rod stood up for him. He stood tall for real and came through for him. So man,
he
like,
did
for real,
100%, man.
Big ups.
I lost my shit when Bob was like, "Man, this Rod's fault." I was like, "Oh, God." It's my man, but this Rod's fault. I was like, "Oh God."
I felt like Iron Man in Civil War. You remember when Iron Man realized he was gonna have to fight motherfucking Captain America?
Fuck Captain America, yeah, nigga.
Damn, for real?
Yeah, that shit was hilarious.
Like, nigga, that was my daddy. I ain't got nothing to do with that, nigga.
Yo, Tone told Ben Hameen on Twitter that we do a podcast for regular niggas, and I was like, that's accurate.
That was accurate.
How you can describe this podcast? We just some regular niggas.
I missed that.
Regular niggas. So good.
Nah, that shit was crucial, dog. The thing that was wild to me that stuck out was just any other time, them same motherfuckers be talking about credit. Like any other time, them black nerds, they be like, so and so ain't get the credit. You ain't come up with that. This the one time it didn't matter who the fuck came up with what.
It was like, so?
Right.
I was like, it's because I tried to always be like, yeah, I didn't come up with that. It's just that's just the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. It was like, we got it from him. I'm like, yeah, but I got it from them. Fuck them niggas. I'm like, what? How you doing?
Like, everybody says them. What do they talk about? They didn't make that up. I'm like, that ain't not.
What they changed
And they tried to come back. They tried to come back with that Thrones Y'all.
That Thrones Y'all, yeah. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, I know this is a Fiyastarter, but even when it goes to like guess the race, right? I hold true with that. Like, I didn't come up with that shit. I just made it real popular. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the nigga always been give credit where credit's due. So that's like, I respect that nigga. Like, salute, bro.
I don't need no extra credit, dog. It's crazy because like they DM me when they were switching the Thrones, y'all. Like black nerd conglomerate, and they was like, "What side you on? You gonna do Thrones?
What set you claim?
What set you claim, cuz?
They drawing lines in the sand and shit.
Nigga, I'm on the black guy with tips. Nigga, get off my motherfucking yawn, nigga.
Hey.
I'm like Clint Eastwood. What you spooks doing on this corner, nigga?
I'm like, y'all don't think that shit corny? Y'all really just gonna do it anyway, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
The funniest thing is like when you started like with the original show and even with House of the Dragon, you'll see some people try to use both of them shits. Like I've seen people use Thrones Y'all and them Thrones. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
That shit
Man, one of them shits is not cool, bro.
Yeah.
No one talks about that.
Thrones Y'all that's like when they introduced New Coke.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that cocaine is not white. I just want my cocaine to be white, please.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, well, I'll say this as my parting shot, my last word for the whole podcast. Been listening, like I said, since early 2000s. But Cass has really, like I said, raised my kids. I think I sent the email in about one of my kids liking white women, and he told his mom he was gonna marry a white woman. And he freaked out, and I was freaked out. And I actually asked them cats, "Hey man, like help me out, because I don't even know what to say." My wife mad, and they hit me up. But like I said, been a part of me, man, for a while. I try to donate. I mean, I donate every month. So I was looking at my Patreon. Like I've been doing this for like 6 years. It's just been really on the point. T-shirts, everything that they kind of come out with, every podcast they recommend. Danny Foxworth podcast is just, I was like, I'm on it. Everybody, Leonard Brothers came out with his. I'm always on Rod and Cameron's joint. It's just something I'm like, I just feel like it's a culture that I'm a part of, and I like that it's a small group of folks that understand where I'm coming from. So I feel a part of something, and them brothers have just been doing this for free. And I'll be wishing that they would. I've been telling them for years, man. Make an Amazon wish list or something. Like, let me just pay y'all back somehow, some way.
Yeah.
But I be wanting to buy them cats Apple. Like, let me buy you a computer, man, because your sound is just terrible. Buy you a computer.
Help me,
microphone, nigga, something.
Yeah, a microphone or something. But those cats, man, like I said, big up to all of them. I love the way. I love they have positive energy. I love that I seen. I mean, crazy watching. I have kids and the whole nine. So. Just one love, and again, man, can't thank you enough, Danny, man. Like, this is the best, like, probably this is probably my highlight right now so far in my year, man. So just thank you a
Wow.
lot, man. Just push out. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, man. Anybody else got any parting words?
Yeah, if you got any problem with something that was said on the show today, add us on Twitter at KBAD.
KBADDS. Well played, sir. Well played, sir.
I
Go ahead.
I just want to thank these niggas for holding me down for all these years, man. I used to work like nights in a warehouse, and like I would see the new episode come out at like 4 a.m. and I'm running up to like the 6th floor where I got reception so I could download right away just to like get me through the morning and shit. So I mean, I'm really grateful for everything they did. The second I got some disposable income, I donated to their Patreon, and I wish I could do more, but you know, I'm a fan for life, and I want to thank them. And thank you for letting us do this and having me on, man. I appreciate that.
Not a problem, bro. Anybody else?
I'll follow up. Thanks, Danny, man. Like I said in my tweet, man, like them brothers are half the reason why I even get on every Friday and podcast. Didn't know Rob was gonna be on, but definitely Rod and Karen. The other half of the reason why I was like, there's a lane for niggas who just want to get on and talk, man. And you know, if anyone's listening, cool. If not, it's therapy for me, man. And it's all good shit, man. Them brothers provide a free service for Black men, Black women, and anybody else just want to get on and hear people talking about things in the and just fuck CSN, MSNBC, CNN, all the other shit, and just people talking about shit and how it relates to everyday people, man. And that's how that podcast is me, man. And I appreciate what they do, and I hope they keep doing it. And yes, as Bushrod said, please get the Amazon wish list up. That way we can give y'all niggas microphones.
Yeah, I'll definitely put something out.
Yeah, I'm gonna just piggyback off what everybody else has already dropped. Echo the same sentiments. Danny, again, thank you for putting this together. This has been dope. Congrats to you on your show. Rod, before you got in here, Danny was kind of asking like how we all got, you know, to this point with Firestarter, and you and Bomani, man, you guys brought me to Firestarter and ultimately to Danny and a gang of other shows, 40 Acres, the whole nine, man. I mean, so appreciate that.
I forgot about 40 Acres. Yeah.
Again, salute to all y'all, man. Yo, what, you know, brought me to this moment. I wouldn't even have been talking to y'all. So no doubt, for real.
I want to piggyback on that and echo everything everybody else has said. Like he said, you know, started with Bomani. I was introduced to a lot of great people through him. Rod and Charlotte being one of those people. That obviously is Rod from the Black Guy Who Tips. First podcast, you know, one of the first podcasts that I fell in love with, aside from the Morning Jones, that brought me here because, like I said earlier, I heard the Firestarter on Rod and Karen show, and you know, like some of the other brothers said, you know, that was part of the reason why I started, you know, decided to start my own joint. And like I said, I've been kind of off and on with it for about 10 years, but you know, it's been a great ride. And I thank you, Danny, for having me, you know, be a part of the show and kind of blow the dust off of this microphone. And, you know, hopefully I'll be able to, you know, do some more podcasting soon and maybe we can, you know, reconvene, you know, in different forms and fashions. I podcasted with Rob before. So, you know what I'm saying? Just thanks to all you brothers for being, you know, part of this. And of course, love and much props and continued success to, you know, Sam, Tone, and Kenny.
100%, man. I couldn't have said it better myself.
I do want to say one thing. I guess first of all, shout out to BGOL for introducing me to them boys first and foremost.
The infamous BGOL.
We don't talk about BGOL, right?
We don't talk about it.
Yeah. I don't think I sent the email in last year. It was Wednesday, May the 4th last year. My grandmother had passed. And Rod, you from North Carolina, right?
Yep.
So I live in Winston-Salem. My grandmother, she lived in Goldsboro. And I drove back that whole night when she passed. Like I said, it was a Wednesday. I remember I DM TKO. He was like, I'm gonna try to get an episode out for you, you know, because they were having technical difficulties, whatever. And the episode, I don't even remember what they talked about. Like I said, I was just kind of in the daze the whole way back. But just like I said, hearing them talk, just kind of, it was like they were talking to me all the way home. And I appreciate that. Like I said, every Thursday you can count on them. There's countless podcasts that They get paid to do it. They got ads, got all that stuff, and they don't even crank out every episode, every week or whatever. You know, they don't ask for donations. They got to pay for this. You get 3-4 hours every time. So, like I said, just appreciate them. Appreciate y'all writing in. Wish Steve Jamboy could have been here to add to it, but the other thing I love about them is they're probably the only podcast I know of that actually answers emails and feedback and stuff like that. Like they approach, like I said, just regular everyday dudes like us, and like I said, just appreciate them. That's the main thing, man. And appreciate Danny for setting this whole thing up. Appreciate Rob for bringing everybody else together, man. So
thank y'all for letting me be here, bro. Really.
Yeah. I guess I'll say something, so I don't want to be the only one that doesn't say anything. Thank you, Danny, for putting this together, and just thank the Fiyastarter guys for, it's pretty commendable what they did. They kind of started a community just from scratch, just on being regular people, being smart, intelligent, thoughtful, funny, and just real. And it kind of brought us all together. We're always connecting online and whatnot. So I think it's just a beautiful thing.
I do want to say too, like over the years, like watching them change, watching them grow, watching them like even be more thoughtful. The thing that always drew me to the show is they just remind me of just being a nigga, like just talking to my boys. Like I think the thing that get lost with all that like online communication a lot of times is like how fake the shit can be, because it's like you always projecting like something to somebody else, like it's someone always judging. But then like on a podcast, especially with your friends, you're just having a conversation, and that's how niggas talk. And so that was the thing for me. Like it kind of kept me grounded, because there would be times where I'm like reading the books or like getting into some highfalutin ass philosophical shit, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, I see what we and then I like listen to regular niggas. I'll be like, oh, we're not gonna do that. That's crazy. right. So like they brought me back. So I fuck with that.
Well, I guess I gotta say something, because I don't want to be the only one that didn't say something. Shout out to CA. Yeah, man. The dudes know how I feel about them. Once again, I just appreciate the content over the years, consistency, the slang, man. It just really the slang that I say in my head, because don't nobody else I know in real life know this stuff and will get it. So appreciate that. And just again, I'm a little younger, so I appreciate them putting me on all kind of things that I didn't know about, like Kingfish, Dorf, the cat drinking the soda, like all that stuff that, bro, I was too young for that. But I do my Googles, man. I appreciate everything the boys do, man.
Oh man, a cat with the soda. Should get you one of these, boy.
Yo, what was the dude? What was the dude that Boss said he looked like when he had that process in his hair?
Little Anthony.
Little
Anthony, dude. He had that conch.
Yes.
Got that conch.
That was somebody mentioned earlier. That was one I had to look up, because I didn't know who Little Anthony was.
Yeah. Well, you said they put you on to somebody. They put me on Little Anthony.
Little Anthony and the Imperials.
I can tell you exactly where I was when he told that story. I was in the barbershop sitting, waiting for my turn, listening to the show, and I had to walk out the shop. I know the boy did not reference Little like. Who says that?
I don't know how y'all niggas listen to these cats on like in public. Like I usually listen like when I have a chance to listen to the whole show. It's usually like a Thursday.
I honestly do. I just be looking crazy.
Yeah.
It is like it's so bad. A few weeks ago, I threw my back out.
And laughing.
No, I was actually crazy. I stepped off a curb.
No.
Came off a curb. The curb was a little high, and I just stepped off wrong.
He said the curb was high.
An aggressive curb.
Curb one regulation.
Fuck that curb, bro.
I just came off wrong. And I texted my boss the next day. I was like, yo, I can't come in. I said, my back is cooked.
Oh, that's the cook, nigga.
The back is hot.
This white man hit me back. The white man hit me back. He was like, what's wrong with your back? My bad. It's hurt. I just hurt my back real bad.
Oh, man.
Back is fried,
I
yo.
listened to him at the gym one time, and that's
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Bad mistake.
No, I was just doing curls, and then Bob dropped that daggone that shadow room, shade room tank. I go to the locker room.
Oh man.
Good. That shit good.
I
I
tell that story.
Yeah, I work in a I work in the hospital. I be in the lab, and sometimes I be laughing. I'm like, my bad, I'm over here cooking, and they be like, you got food over there? And I'm like, no, nigga, I do not have food in the lab. I am laughing. Let me be, nigga. Leave me alone.
Can I have some?
I know, right? Now they just waiting for you to say, I'm about to fry you.
Nah, yeah, about to fire my black ass. I be the only nigga in the lab working.
Oh man,
so many terms that I was thinking
sir.
about. You was talking about cooking and getting fried.
Yep.
And it was like it's something, like I said, no one understands when you say it until
Yep.
unless you're around people that knows this stuff, man. And I think about Shan and chili grapes and just things that you just I tell my wife actually uses chili grapes now. She still uses,
really.
It's just one of those things that you share with people and you tell them exactly what it means and where you heard it from, and then they kind of start taking off with it. So yeah,
Cuban B.
It's poison.
That's the one.
They got different regulations over there. It's poison.
My sons use it. My sons are in their early 20s and they use Cuban B all the time. Like, nah,
You don't just Cuban Butte me, nigga.
Take everything.
My wife uses Lake Q.
Just gonna Cuban B that report I just sent you.
Well,
Man, that's awesome, man. So once again, thank you, fellas, for joining me on this pod. Man, this is something I've always wanted to do for a long time, and with the help of y'all, we made it happen. So for the fellas and myself, I am Danny Foxworth. You just listened to another episode of Since We Last Spoke. Make sure you like, download, and subscribe. And until next time, y'all be good. Peace.